Thank you all for being here today. We are so excited to finally be able to launch the PDG B-5 TA Center. We have a lot of folks who are going to introduce you to today, so we're going to go ahead and get started. What we would like to kind of see throughout the webinar are things that you consider to be good TA practices, things that help you in your grants to actually be successful. And so continue to have this conversation. We've seen some great responses so far about TAs helping to meet goals, to ask questions that maybe haven't been thought of yet. Those are all great things to help us consider as we begin to work with you all. So continue to do that, continue to ask your questions and type in responses to this question, but the question for the day is to share your thoughts on what successful TA looks like. We are also going to mute everybody upon entry. There is a chat box. We will be tracking it, and the team will be jumping in as we see questions come in, so feel free to do that. And we'll also have opportunities to do some polling and interactions throughout the webinar, so encourage you to participate. We do want to make sure we answer your questions about the TA Center and what you can expect to see next. So please do encourage you to engage through the Zoom chat as much as possible. For those who have staff who weren't able to join today's webinar, this will be recorded and we will share in a follow-up email both the slides, the recording, and some additional materials after today's call. So today what we are hoping to do for the next little bit of time with you is to understand the purpose of the Birth to 5 TA Center, to learn about the various activities that we'll be able to offer you as grantees that support your grant objectives and your activities, and to know who to request support from and who to contact next. So that's what we're hoping you can walk away knowing a little bit more about today. So we've framed this in a handful of questions that we hope that you can answer by the end of today's call. So what are the expectations for the center? And Richard and the federal staff are going to help us to know a little bit more about that. We're going to share a little bit our approach to TA and what those activities will look like to successfully accomplish that approach and the goals of the center. What are some immediate upcoming opportunities for you to be aware of? And then finally, what is the process for requesting technical assistance? We understand that you all have waited about 8 months to get going again, so we're excited. We know that they're already starting to come in, and we're excited to get started. So there's no delay. After today, you should know exactly what to do to get started. So again, as I mentioned again, if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat. We are tracking that. If you have comments, thoughts, reactions, things that you want to make sure we clarify, please do add those in the box. At the end of the webinar, we want to make sure everybody's aware of this. Richard is going to actually call on each state and give an opportunity to ask your questions. So be thinking about that throughout the call. We will come off mute at that point and allow anybody to speak. So we know that's going to be a little fun. So we want you to start thinking about that now. What questions will you have for Richard? Okay, and so with that, we'd like to start our first poll question. So you're going to see a prompt come up on your screen, and the prompt is going to ask who is on the call today. So we've come up with a groups of categories that you may, again, feel best prepared to do, but you might be a renewal grantee, you might be an original grantee, a new initial grantee, a federal program officer, TA center staff from our center, or other federal staff. Okay, so it looks like we're still getting some votes coming in, so we'll give it a minute here. All right, it looks like it's stabilizing. So, Carolina, can everybody see the polls right now? I'm never sure. Okay, everybody can see it. Is that right? Can we get a head nod? Everybody can see the responses? Nope, we're not seeing it. So Carolina's going to show, maybe. Okay, share results. All right. So we have, no big surprise, this is the Grantee Kickoff. We have most folks are from the renewals, from some of the initial grants and some of the new initial grants. So we're glad that you are here today. This webinar is really focused on you and learning a little more about what we can offer to support your grant. There are also federal program officers on the call to actually help, some TA staff and some other federal folks to help us situate and kind of help communicate what our center is going to be doing to support your work. So thank you for that. All right. So then getting started, I'm going to pass it over to, I want to see if Shannon is on the line.
She is.
Okay, well then I'm going to pass it over to Shannon, who is the Director of the Office of Child Care, who's going to start up the remarks today.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a delight to be here with you. As my colleagues here suggested, I am the Director of the Office of Child Care, and that is where the PDG Birth to 5 grant is located, which I'm thrilled about because it gave us the opportunity to actually finally give people time and money to think as a group around how to partner better maximize funding and build on each other's strengths and leverage each other's funding to build a better system that takes into account just the system efficiencies in early childhood, as well as healthy child development, and how we might really be able to do some of the things that strategies and goals that we talked about for a long time. And we know that the children are not just, there for a minute, or they don't come in pieces to one program or another. They really have a whole set of needs that involve themselves, their families, and different things at different age groups, and a need to partner up with a lot of other different programs. And so our hope was that we could give states and territories the space to really be creative, involve all their stakeholders, think about a governing structure that would allow them to work together in a way that sustains the gains that were made during the funded periods of these grants, and get to a point where they could serve children and families more holistically and meet more of their needs in a more unified way. And that fits with goals of ACF, which are cross-program, two-generation, holistic, improving the delivery of social services in a way that really meets families' needs. And I feel like we have the chance through you all to actually make some progress there. And even if we couldn't fund all the grants that were applications that were strong, which was most of them, we hoped that people would get far enough in their thinking and their strategic planning and their partnering and building relationships with stakeholders that they might even be able to shop those ideas around and get funding from their from philanthropy or other government resources, and to be able to carry out this work. So we are delighted that you're here, SRI, and that you're able to hit the ground running, because you're already so familiar with these programs, and that you will be able to help the states and territories that are on this call move towards their dream and their vision. And so thank you all for both your interest in being a grantee and for your creativity and patience with us, and for those of you who decided to go after this TA grant and pull together such a fabulous team. So Richard and I have high hopes. I've been in government for a long time, and this was one time when I thought, wow, this could really do something. So,
well, we hope to accomplish that and help all the grantees. We know that this is really innovative work, and as Shannon mentioned, it's creative work, and you all doing things that we haven't done before. And so, we as a center recognize that our job is to come alongside you and to really offer this support. So we are glad to be here, and thank you, Shannon, for those opening remarks. All right, is Tammy Proctor on the line? If not, we will come back to Tammy and she's able to join. Otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to Richard Gonzalez.
All right, thanks a lot, Missy, and welcome everybody. I know you've been getting emails and some phone calls from me over these past months, but it's great to be able to see many of you now and hear from you. We're, as you've already heard Shannon and Missy say, we're really excited about having our TA provider back in place. Now, all of you guys have worked with many different TA providers over time, and even maybe with other grants you have right now. And every TA provider has a little bit of a different focus. But the main intent here, obviously, is to give you a resource that you can call on. And as you'll hear in the presentation, SRI has pulled together a great group of partners and collaborators. You'll also hear us talk about the collaboration that's taking place across our national TA centers, so that we will be collaborating with other TA centers in Head Start and Child Care and education and so on. Even calling on program TA centers that are with SAMHSA and HRSA and CDC. Just trying to use the resources we all have and leverage our knowledge and our experience as well. So you'll be hearing more about that. But something that's similar with all TA providers is the fact that obviously they're here to support you and to help you think about, help you find answers to things that you may not be as knowledgeable about, to help you think about the questions that you may not be thinking of asking, to help you find resources that you know exist, but you don't know where they are. You have had the advantage of working with our federal project offices, and I know that we've all attempted to be helpful to you, but we also know in many cases we're not going to be as helpful as the TA provider can be to you now in the kind of ways that you need it. One of the things that I want to say now is that this TA approach, what we've said to the TA provider is that this is going to be a 50-state strategy TA approach. So even if you're, the main focus initially will be obviously with the renewal grantees and with the new initial grantees, but both because of how long you've been without a TA provider, as well as the impact of COVID-19 and all of our lives changing the way we do work, I've also told them that I want them to be available to provide TA to all of you. So even if you are a grantee that did not end up with a renewal grant, you still will be able to call on them and use their resources, at least for the rest of this calendar year. And then what we will do is we will continue to invite you to webinars and share resources with you across all states. So regardless of when your grant ends, regardless of whether you're a new grantee or renewal grantee, this TA provider is going to be available to kind of assist you in whatever ways make sense for you. We recognize each of you are in very different places. The FPOs, the federal project officers, program officers will continue to work with you. But now they'll have a TA specialist that you'll hear more about that'll be assigned to you. The focus here is that as you need TA, we're going to ask you to take your TA request to the TA specialist first. Not that you shouldn't talk to the FPOs, you certainly can, you certainly should let them know what you want to do. But the reason we're saying that you should take your TA request to the TA specialist is because what we find, it may save you time and it may help you think through your request a bit more. So a lot of the requests that come in initially are very general in nature or haven't been as fully evolved as they could be. And the TA specialists are there to help you think it through and to think about framing your request in such a way that it has even greater likelihood of being approved once it moves forward. So the TA specialists will be talking with the federal project officers. You'll be talking with the federal project officers, but for an official TA request, we'll ask you to move that to the TA specialist. And then the TA specialist and the FPO, federal program officers, will talk to one another so that is taking place and there's communication happening across the triad. I think the last thing I just want to say is that if you're not sure what to do, if you're not sure who to ask, just reach out to anybody. But the federal program officer will tell you they take this to the TA specialist first. And if it's a TA specialist, if it's a policy issue or if it's something that has to be dealt with, then the TA specialist is going to tell you that has to go to the federal program officer. They're the ones who are going to address the policy issues. And we'll continue to remain involved in the work with you and in the planning with you. As you'll see later on, you as an individual grantee will be able to decide whether you want federal program officers on calls with you, whether you want the TA specialists on calls with them. We're going to leave that up to you, your comfort level and your desire to have conversations. We figure you can figure out what you need best, and we'll work with you to make that happen. So I'm going to stop talking now because obviously all of you know I could talk a very long time. And so I'm going to pass it back to the TA providers, and there'll be a chance at the end for us to come back with questions. The last thing I want to say is that if Missy mentioned before that at the end, I'm going to call you in alphabetical order based on renewal grantees and then initial grantees. And hopefully we'll answer many of the questions that you have. But as you're thinking about questions, jot them down now, and then hopefully you can check them off as being answered by the time we get to the end of the presentation. But if they're not, we hope to give you time to ask those questions. And if we can't answer them today, we will answer them and get answers back to everybody as quickly as possible. So thank you. Missy, turn it back over to you.
Great. Thank you, Richard, for sharing all the perspective. And we'll go into a little bit more detail on all of the points that Richard just made to give some more clarification as well. So thank you, Richard, for setting us up. I'm going to pass it over to Howard, who's going to talk a little bit more about our approach and how we're going to even do this 50-state strategy.
All right, hi everyone. Let's take some time to review our PDG B-5 TA Center's approach to technical assistance. So you'll see from our grantee map, our team is going to use a 50-state strategy that supports new and original grantees. So you'll see, although this map has a teal color for the initial planning grantees that were awarded this year, we know that there are many other with a no-cost extension, and most of them are in the tan-colored states. So we will be supporting all states in this efforts, and they will be invited to webinars and receive TA resources and offer tailored, individualized TA from our PDG B-5 Center. So the PDG B-5 TA Center activities will include universal, targeted, and tailored TA, state profiles, and an online repository. For the universal TA, we plan to build awareness and understanding of critical topics in a mixed delivery system. And we will design resources to raise awareness or develop knowledge. This could be in the form of briefs, blogs, state spotlights, videos, etc. We also support in the needs assessment and strategic plan development. This could come in the form of tools to support stakeholder engagement, priority setting, developing performance indicators. Additionally, our team will be supporting the national meeting. So this will provide an opportunity for grantees to share lessons learned and network with their peers and their TA specialists. For targeted TA, we will deliver support that is applicable across multiple grantees and increase state staff capacity. We plan to deliver a set of activities that combine different methods of engagement. So this will include virtual coaching, virtual workshops, and My Peers. So the virtual coaching support will be based on recipient role and tasks, and the virtual workshops will be focused on topics of interest that will ultimately build upon one another across sections. And then the peer networking will include COPs, virtual conferences, and the My Peers. And the tailored TA, we will really focus on consultation, coaching, and the training needs of each grantee. So we will work in collaboration with staff from other TA centers to develop virtual coaching and training resources to really build state capacity, and we will provide in-depth support to the grantees to really assist them in some of the work that they're doing to collect and report grant performance data. For the state profiles, we're going to be providing information on really the status of key features of the grantee state systems, and we will compile additional information for expanding that state profiles on the website. And lastly, the online repository will include relevant materials, and that will be organized by topic areas as well as skill levels to really understand the use and the need for these specific resources and how they may be beneficial and applicable to each state. So we know that the scope of the grants are broad and that they provide an opportunity for your state to be innovative and develop new partnerships across state and local agencies. A few examples of TA support that you might request are for thought partners, example for other states' information, feedback on materials, supporting work that meets the needs of your strategic plans and needs assessments, facilitating when you bring multiple partners together, and resources to help support your team. So if you just think about that for a moment, and if you have some additional suggestions in regarding TA support requests, please feel free to type them into the chat. And we'll just pause a moment and see if anyone has any additional ideas or examples for TA support that you might request. Otherwise, we will note those as we go on through the presentation and collect them and report out afterwards. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so we're going to do a quick poll. And in the process of pulling that up, what types of TA are you most excited about? Individual consultation, products and tools, networking peer learning opportunities, or a virtual conference? We'll just take a few seconds to complete that. And once we get about close to 100% submission, we'll go ahead and publish those poll results. All right, so we see we've got a good kind of different responses here. So about 27% for individual consultation, 28% products and tools, 41% networking peer learning opportunities, and 4% for virtual conferences. So looks like we've got a majority of folks that are really excited about the networking and peer learning opportunities. So thank you all for submitting those responses. And I'll go ahead and turn it over to Missy, who's going to lead us in the next section.
Thank you, Howard, for providing that oversight, or kind of providing the overview of the actual kind of activities that we're going to support. We want to talk a little bit now about how we are actually going to think a little bit more about the work that's being done, but who's actually going to support the activities that Howard just presented. So I'm Missy Coffey. I will be one of the directors for this center, and excited to be joined by a whole team of other leaders. As Richard pointed out earlier, we are thrilled that given the scope of the PDG grants, we recognize that there are many different topic areas, that there is a depth and breadth of this work that you all kind of creatively and innovatively doing. And so we have brought partners from many organizations who really can support this work, given that really there's no one partner who can do all of this and support all the work that you all are doing. So we are pleased to have a whole team of folks who can do that. So Kathy Hebler will be working with me as the center director. Denise Mazzi and Jen Nakamura are our project managers for the work, so you might see things coming from them. Kathy Gillespie from ONLAR is going to be one of our center leads, and this is the leadership team. So you can see here, these will be the folks who are helping to prioritize and make sure that we are getting you the highest quality technical assistance. So Jana Martello, who will be leading our TA team for now, is from EDC. We're actually also joined by Harriet Dichter from ICF, Neil Horn from Georgetown, and then Lori Conos-Tadros from NEAR. Many of you probably know these names. And so they have teams with them as well that will be joining this group. Again, so we have a wealth of information, knowledge, and expertise in these areas. And so we hope that we can offer you the best supports possible, and that we are also going to be working really closely with the other centers that Richard mentioned. It's great to be part of a network of TA centers that can support this work. And so, as Richard also said, feel free to reach out to those who you feel most connected to. We also have a TA specialist, and we will be working to find the right connection and make sure that we are leveraging the resources to help meet your needs, given the tight timelines and the incredible amount of work that you all are trying to do with your grants. So with that, we also have two roles. So that is the center leadership team, but we have two roles that we are offering supports around for you all. One are your TA specialists, and these will be folks who are working with you, who are assigned to your state, to help you think through what your TA needs might be, what kind of resources are available, as Howard mentioned, to save you all some time to think about what resources are going to help me in this topic area. Our TA specialists can kind of sort through some of that for you and help guide and narrow those down so you don't spend a ton of your time doing the resource development or the background materials. We can give you some of that and help you understand how to use those materials to continue the conversations. So that is going to be their role. They're also going to be connecting you to some of the subject matter experts. And that is the team and the kind of cadre of folks that have really specific, kind of many years typically of experience doing technical assistance, but are really kind of leveraging very specific needs. So whether it be mental health consultation or whether it is governance work, there's lots of different topics that you all have expressed interest in already. We're going to partner that with the SMEs who can support that. So while you will have a TA specialist assigned, you'll also have a whole cadre of folks that they can pull in and leverage to help you really think through a topic that you're working on. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jana, who's going to talk through our TA specialist team.
Hi, thanks, Missy. Actually, I'm really enjoying kind of the repetition of materials because in point of fact, any good presentation, you tell folks what you're going to tell them. That was Richard and Shannon. That was great. And then you tell them. That was Howard and Missy just kind of have told you the way the center is going to work. And then I get to tell you what they told you. Repeat some of these things. Most delightedly, it's my job here to introduce you to the TA specialists. Missy has already highlighted that there are going to be multiple windows, multiple doors where you're going to get to the TA that you need. But the TA specialists are really, really important. And we know you've been navigating a landscape, the map that Howard showed us earlier. You've been in the work for some time. Systems work is really complex. But we have some TA specialists that are divided out, have some expertise to provide you. Want to point out specifically, in a minute I'll allow each of the specialists to introduce themselves to you, but point out specifically that they actually are divided by the OCC regions. We know that you might not be, all of you might not be familiar, many of you will be familiar with that regional TA map, but we'll get that to you so that you know where you fit on the landscape. So next slide, please, and I'll introduce you. Not all of the TA specialists are with us quite yet. I am helping to coordinate tuning in collectively with each of these individuals, getting to know them as you will get to know them as well. A terrific group of folks with a true desire to help kind of get to collective action. Many of you said that the most effective TA was action-oriented and collaborative. It starts with you. So that is the most important factor. So I know many of you. I was watching the chat, the participant list as you came aboard. I've been doing early childhood work with states for about 20 years. So delighted to see so many names that I know. And I will hand off and ask my colleagues here to introduce themselves, take a minute or two to tell you where they are zooming in from and which organization they work for, and maybe a little bit about their TA approach. I don't think Elizabeth is with us, but we will connect her up with you, and you'll have an opportunity to meet her a little bit later. So Faith, can you open up your video and your mic, and we'll hear from you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Faith Scheibe, and I am Zooming from Wilmington, Delaware. I work with SRI as you saw with Regions 1 and 2, and I'm really excited to jump into this work with you all. So, thank you.
Thank you, Faith. And Howard, we met Howard earlier, but Howard, why don't you tell us a little bit about where you are and where you're zooming in from and who you are.
Hi, everyone. My name's Howard Morrison. I'm zooming in from Austin, Texas. I'm an early childhood TA specialist at SRI International. So I'm really looking forward to working with everyone, building relationships with everyone on this project and supporting them meeting their PDG goals. So looking forward to it.
So thank you, Howard. Maria, I think I might have seen your name a little bit earlier, so I'm just going to shout out. If you're here, you can unmute and show your video screen. If not, we'll move on. So Maria doesn't actually start. She doesn't come on board from Georgetown till September 1st. I think several other of our TA providers will be arriving next Monday. We'll spend a great deal of time orienting them to you and to each other. So Mandy, though, I do think you are aboard, correct? I thought I saw Mandy's name earlier on the participants list.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay,
Hi.
good. Hi, Mandy.
I'm Mandy Reeve. I'm Zooming from Madison, Wisconsin, and I start with SRI on Monday. So I'm
Great.
very excited to get started. I can't wait.
Welcome aboard and nice to see you.
Yeah.
And Sally Shepard, you're next. I think I saw your name as well.
Hi, I'm Sally Shepard and I'm Zooming in from Kentucky. I actually start SRI on Tuesday, so I'll be joining everyone week after next.
Great. Thank you, Sally. And finally, we have Stephanie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Garys. I am zooming in from Tallahassee, Florida. I start with ICF on Monday, and I'm really looking forward to this work. I worked with Florida on their first year of their PDG grant, so I'm very familiar with the grant, so I'm really excited to get going on this.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, all of the TA specialists. As we highlighted, they're kind of, multiple windows and a door for you. So next slide, Richard actually addressed the relationship between your federal program officers and the TA specialists. We will be developing some general protocols and guiding principles for communications with you. Want you to know that you will be the decider. If you want a TA specialist to join in your monthly call with the federal project officer after they have done some background work with you, feel free to engage them and invite them. And your federal program officers will be aware of all the TA requests that are that you present to the center, but they will not be participating on the outcomes and the results that you are working together with your teams and with your TA specialists. They will be joining all of the universal TA networking calls and the universal webinars, which actually I think will probably provoke and kind of catalyze hopefully some of the tailored TA as well as the targeted TA. You've already said you were most excited about learning from each other, so that will be an important part of that. Next slide, please. So what does our approach to TA mean for you? We have gone over this. We know that the systems, as I mentioned, that you all are navigating are extremely complex, and there's been new complexity added to the mix. The interesting thing is, although you are all zooming in from different states, our experiences almost all the same, from living room to living room and office to office. We are navigating the systems world virtually now. So we'll be thought partners with you. We will convene people as we realize that there are affinities and lessons that need to be learned together. We will point you, give you a little GPS on the other relevant TA Center resources, and the array of expertise that exists in our subject matter experts. We will definitely, really try to connect you up with the depth that exists there. So could I go on to the next slide on that subject matter experts? You can see the list here, and these are all probably pretty familiar in terms of the topical areas that the experts will be dealing with. Most of them are circumscribed by the PDG grant itself. There are a couple new ones or bullet points that actually have new weight. Equity, for example, what we've all experienced over the last several months along with COVID. Tremendous number of resources that have emerged in very quick order since March, et cetera. So we will really try to get a hone in on the most important information that you need in order to make progress with your teams in your states and your systems. There may be some topic areas that aren't on this list that have emerged as a result of your work in some of these other areas. Would love to kind of ask you to insert those into the chat and also give you another opportunity with the next slide, which will be a poll, to let us know what you think will be the most important topic areas and areas of expertise where you'll need support. So this poll is a little bit longer and maybe requires a little bit more thought on your part. Take a look and tell us what you think is most important. If there's something that's not there, feel free to enter it into the chat. But go ahead, I think you can choose multiple of these topic areas. Please feel free to do that, and we'll pull the results back up when we are honing in on complete.
Carolina, I'm not sure we're seeing the poll. Maybe I'm not.
The poll's up for me.
Okay.
Let's see.
So others are seeing it? Okay.
It's up, yep.
As long as everyone else is seeing it. Okay.
So, and Carolina, when it looks like we're, we're honing in on 100% participation, you can pull up the results. Great. It's no surprise that equity is out there in red, right, in the moment. And I've been, kind of, it seems like logging into a webinar almost every day as to how to bring unbiased practice to the early childhood setting over the course of the last several months. So we will definitely tune in to that on your behalf and with you so that you'll be learning from each other as well. There was someone entered in the chat, parent leadership and leadership in general. So, when you need help, when you need information, we'll be there at the ready. And that was my last slide. Faith, take it away.
Thank you, Janet. All right, what is coming next? Your TA specialists will be gathering information. First, the information is going to be coming from document reviews, such as the applications, the needs assessments, and strategic plans you've already developed. There also will be a preliminary TA self-assessment for you to complete out to really round out the picture of what your needs are. And this link will be sent out today in an email following the webinar. It will take about 5 minutes for you to complete. And then we'd like you to get it done as soon as possible, but by September 2nd at the latest. Another way that we're going to be, TA specialists will be gathering information is through discussions and conversations with you. So soon, your TA specialists will be reaching out and contacting you to schedule these meetings to discuss things. With all of this information that the TA specialists gather, they'll be working with you, as well as the TA team, to identify subject matter needs and create TA plans. And then ways to engage with fellow grantees. There will be multiple ways for you to engage with your TA specialist as well as each other. The PDG Grantee collab calls are going to be your first opportunity. These are 90-minute calls that are networking opportunities for state grantees to interact and learn from each other. There'll be a central topic for the state grantees to discuss and to share your experiences and knowledge. The hope is that you will be able to hear how your peers are approaching these issues and challenges, and then you'll be able to incorporate those into your efforts. The survey results that we sent out showed that you wanted to discuss these topics: equity in state and early childhood systems, the impact of COVID, data systems, and planning the program performance evaluation plans. We will be facilitating discussions surrounding these topics the next Fridays when the calls are scheduled. We're starting this Friday, August 21st. And I think an invite has been sent out to everybody. And the first topic will be grant flexibilities given COVID. You'll have an opportunity to discuss where you are and how you're approaching efforts considering the current circumstances. So remember, going forward, if you have an individual TA request, please email your TA specialist and share with us what you need. We're here to support you and your efforts. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Richard now.
Actually, I think this is back to Missy, but I'll be glad to talk about it if you want me to.
Sure, take it away, Richard.
So, I mean, clearly we are really excited about this opportunity. I think many of you, from the kinds of requests and emails we've been hearing, have been looking forward to having a TA provider again to support your work. And so the idea here, I just want to reiterate that this doesn't stop. Please don't think that this is now saying don't talk to your federal project officer, because we still want you to have those conversations. We still want you to talk those things through with them. We just want the actual request. When you know you're going to be making a request, we want you to think that through with your TA specialist, because they're going to have a better sense of what the requests are that are coming in across the board, across the states, and we can look at patterns and comments. The other thing I want to comment on has to do with the grantee collab calls. We know all year long you've been talking about opportunities to hear from each other. Many of you have sent emails that said, you know, can you share examples of what other states are doing in this area? So we immediately have set up these Friday networking calls as an opportunity for conversation. There will not only be a chance for you to hear from each other, but you will be able to break out into work groups. You'll be able to come back and share thoughts and ideas. You'll hear some information, and there'll be a chance to answer questions. So this is a chance for you to network and to find out who's interested in similar things. We are going to actually, you'll hear more about those Friday networks. We'll start, as you heard Faith say, we're going to start it this Friday with a conversation about COVID implications, give you some additional information to what you've already had. And then in the end, we will be able to, hopefully be able to learn from each other what each of you are doing. So there's going to be an email with a link to the recording of this presentation once it's available. So if you want to hear it again, or you have other staff who weren't able to join and you want them to hear it, you'll also have access to that as soon as we can make it available to you. Next slide. And so what we wanted to do is basically, that was the information we were giving in general. We don't know what questions you had specific coming into this call. Hopefully we've answered some of them, but what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go down the list and call out a state. You know who you are, but I'll still say the state's name, but you know who you are. If you have no question, just say no question at this time. If you have a question, please throw it out there. And if we can answer it right away, we will. And if not, we will actually answer it another time. Also, please feel free to put your questions in the chat as well, especially if you feel that the question is more complicated, or if we're seeking further clarification, you may want to put that into the chat. So I'm going to start here with the state, and I don't know which of you are on the call. So if I don't hear anything, remember to unmute yourself to speak. But if I don't hear anything, we'll move on to the next state. And then if you are having trouble getting off of mute, we'll come back to you. So we'll start with Alabama. Any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. California.
Hello, this is Jennifer.
Hey, Jennifer.
I just wanted to say thank you for this invitation. This is new for me, and the information that I've gathered today is wonderful to hear. I love the targeted approach because we have a variety of things that we're trying to focus on. Right now is with the data systems, but when we work with our partners, we're wondering if by chance, when they have something that's specific, can they be a part of these calls with the TAs? So it'd be us on the call, but we would work with our partner, and the both of us would be on that call.
So the intent initially is for the initial networking calls to just have you as the project officers or the project staff to be on these calls. what we'd like to do for the initial call. What we'd like to do is, as you find out that there's a particular need or area that you want more information on, your TA specialist will be able to pull you together with other people to have a larger conversation. And it may be that as a need is identified by you and is sparked by a networking call, that you may hear from several other states. And so your TA specialist may say, hey, I'm going to set up a separate meeting with these 4 states who are challenged by the same issue. And then you'd be allowed to bring in then we'd ask you to bring in your TA support. But for now, we'd like to keep this a staff discussion. It'll just make it easier to manage. And then absolutely, we understand that many of you have the work that's being done by contractors and TA specialists of your own. So we'd bring them in at a later time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Great question. How about Colorado?
Hey, Richard, it's Lindsay. Thank you for today's meeting. I do not have any additional questions.
Thanks so much, Lindsay. Connecticut? Okay, how about Florida?
Hey, this is Courtney from Florida. We don't have any questions at this time.
Thank you so much, Courtney. Georgia?
Hey, this is Susan Adams from Georgia. We don't have any questions at this time. Thanks.
Thank you, Susan. How about Illinois? Kansas? Louisiana?
Hey, Richard, we don't have any questions at this time. Thank you, though.
Okay. And by the way, I say questions, but if folks have other comments or things, you're free to give comments as well. Okay, how about Maryland?
Hi, Richard. This is Rachel Gemma in Maryland. Can you hear me?
I can. Thank you, Rachel.
Great. Thank you so much for pulling this together, and we're looking forward to working with the great team that's been assembled. I had a question about, you mentioned the ability to coordinate across other federal TA centers. So if we have an ongoing project with one of our other federal TA centers, are we going to have a chance to share that with you and then also learn about what other states might be doing across different TA centers so that we can really leverage all this TA? In addition to this center? Thanks.
That's exactly what we're trying to do. So we don't want to stop you from doing work that you're already doing with another TA provider, maybe on another grant. We also don't want to duplicate effort. So we're trying to make sure that if you're working with other TA providers and other grants, and there's a way the TA specialist will try to coordinate with you and them, and we'll be looking for common resources. So we're also trying to collect resources that are available across our various TA centers, so that even if someone in this TA provider doesn't have the knowledge, they can reach out and find out who does and share it with you.
Great.
Thanks a lot, Rachel. Great question.
And Richard, just to jump in, Kansas couldn't get off mute, but they did send a question in for you. So they asked if you will have a sense of topics in advance of the Friday networking calls so they can prioritize time and focus of the teams. So maybe Faith, and you can answer that one for you if you want them to, Richard.
Well, I mean, so what we're going to do is we're going to tackle those 4 topics that you've heard. We will send you in advance the indication of what the topic's going to be for that particular Friday. And we have an intent of keeping up those Friday networking meetings as long as they're useful. So even though we've identified the first 4 topics, we'll let you know what the order is going to be after COVID-19. But what'll happen is we'll continue to network based on the topics and the conversations we're having with you across states. And we'll always let you know the week before, at least, what the topic for the next week is going to be. And to the degree that we can let you know even farther in advance, we'll do so as well. Faith, did you want to add anything to that?
Sure, I will definitely be sending out an agenda with a calendar of topics we've chosen. But I think that we want to be very responsive to what you all want to talk about. So we will be surveying and you will be providing input on what the topics are.
Okay, thank you. And Kansas, if you can get off and you still have something you want to say, if you can get off mute and say it now, you're more than welcome to do that as well if you have another question or comment. Okay, how about we go to Michigan?
Hi, we don't have any questions right now.
Thanks, Joy.
Yep.
Minnesota?
No questions from Minnesota. It looks like a strong plan and a strong team, and we're looking forward to it.
Sounds great. Thank you. Missouri?
Missouri typed in no questions at this time.
Okay, Nevada? How about New Hampshire?
New Hampshire doesn't have any questions at this time.
Okay, thank you, Kim. New Jersey?
Hi, New Jersey, our question was answered about the coordinating of TA services, so thank you.
Thank you, Lenore. New York?
Hi, Richard, it's Kristen. So I'm wondering about the TA because, you know, in New York State, the B-5 project it's a big deal. And as we've all said, it's a real opportunity for change. And so I want to make sure that I'm elevating this TA opportunity, you know, for us, even for our partners. And so I'm thinking, you know, can we invite, you know, our TA specialist to our regularly scheduled, you know, partner meeting that we have every other month, you know, to listen to the dynamic, to listen to the questions our other partners have. I'm wondering how involved they can be. I'm also thinking, you know, is this someone that would maybe say a few words at, you know, an early childhood advocacy, early childhood advisory council meeting. So I'm wondering of how big to make all of this, because I want everybody to benefit.
I know what answer I was going to give, but Missy, I guess I should let you give the answer.
No. Right now, Kristen, the team is eager and ready to jump in. So use them as much as you would like, and they will work with you to figure out if there needs to be a balance. But right now, they are eager to get started. So
yeah, that would be great. That would be great, because there's things that, you know, there's questions I don't think of, and there's questions that our, you know, team might not think of, and we're doing our best to take a collaborative approach. So I want to be as collaborative as possible around the TA as well. So thank you.
That sounds great. And I would say to you, I mean, I can't imagine anybody not making themselves available if their schedule allows, but also keep in mind that even if you want the federal program officers to join a meeting of some kind, I know all of us would be willing to do so as well. I know that's a different issue, but we're going to be there to support you in any way we can. And should that not happen, and this is true for anybody, should you find that support you're seeking is not being made available, then I know that Missy and I would want to know that right away. Because even if it's through no one's fault, we want to make sure we can fix that.
Missy, can I jump in as well?
Yes, please.
Yes, so I just was going to say there's really a deep bench of subject matter experts here, and beyond just preparing flat documents or digital documents and resources, toolkits, et cetera, for you, I think that they might be the perfect spokesperson on a given topic area where you need someone to kind of dive in with you.
Thank you, thank you. And I think what I hear in that statement as well is the fact that, so if your TA specialist, for example, isn't the one who has the expertise in a particular area that you're hoping to speak to, they'll find someone on the team who can come and be present and speak to that as well. So we'll do whatever we can to help, because we do want that very real partnership and collaboration that you're talking about, Kristen. We want to see that happening, and we want to support it and model it ourselves as well. So thank you.
Thanks.
North Carolina.
Hey, Richard, this is Christy. We don't have any questions at this time, but we're excited about and looking forward to the topic areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Oregon.
Hi there, we don't have any additional questions.
Thank you, Ann. Rhode Island. How about South Carolina?
This is Cassie Barber from South Carolina, and while we don't have any additional questions right now, we're really looking forward to participating in this. Looks terrific. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Cassie. Virginia.
I think we are also good on questions for right now. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Aaron. Washington?
Hey Richard, it's Tracy. One of the benefits of going last is all my questions have been answered, but we're really looking forward to getting to know the team. This is fantastic.
Sounds great. Thanks a lot, Tracy. Let's go to the next slide. What we're going to do is we're going to jump to the new initial grantees, and we're going to start with, now I know that the territory.
Richard, just before we switch, we actually had New Hampshire is actually should be Nebraska. So if we want to let Nebraska go on this slide,
Oh, sorry.
Let them chat first.
I didn't even catch that. Thank you. Nebraska. Okay, maybe Nebraska's not on. Let's go to the next slide. So I don't believe anyone is on from CNMI or Guam because of the time difference, but let me ask.
Day. Good morning. This is Elaine Eclaria from Guam.
Elaine, you're amazing. I don't know, what time is it there?
Oh, it's like maybe 10 till 5 or something like that.
In the morning, right?
In the morning.
Yeah, okay.
I appreciate the opportunity because I get to hear and ask any questions from the other states. But wow, I really appreciate the TA and the expertise that are available for us. And so we're looking forward to accessing the resources. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Elaine. Appreciate it. And thank you for making the extra effort to be on in the wee hours of the morning. Okay, how about Idaho?
Hi, Richard. This is Karen. Beth had to jump onto another call. I think right now we're just excited about learning more about how the support TA support can help Idaho. We're in our initial year, and we really don't have questions right now, but I know we will in the future.
Sounds great. Thank you, Karen. How about, is anyone on from Puerto Rico?
Hi, my name is Banji. I'm from Puerto Rico. I don't have no questions right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wisconsin.
Hi, this is Kristen Burton from Wisconsin. Again, no questions, but thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thanks, Kristen. Wyoming.
Hi, Richard. This is Susan in Wyoming. We don't have any questions at this time.
Thanks so much. Okay, now we're going to go on to the remaining states. Anyone from Alaska with a question? How about Arizona? Arkansas?
This is Daisha. We do not have any questions for Arkansas.
Thank you so much. And by the way, I don't know if people can hear chimes in the background. If you do, that's my clock going off, which I can't stop. So sorry about that. Hourly chimes. How about DC?
Hey, Richard, this is Margaret. Just a quick question. Once our grant ends, will we still have access to the different tools and products that the TA actually will come up with?
Yes. So one of the things we're going to be doing is making sure that any tools or products, even networking sessions, everything but the individual TA will still be available to you. So you'll still be able to join calls, you'll still be able to join webinars, you'll still be able to receive resources and access resources one way or the other. So we'll be talking more about that as we go along and as our new TA provider figures out how to make all that happen. So, but more to come, but yes, you will have access to that.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks so much. Delaware? How about Hawaii?
Hi, Richard. This is Lauren. We don't have any questions, but I just wanted to say that we appreciate the 50-state approach to the TA. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Lauren. Indiana? How about Iowa?
Hey, Richard, this is Chanel, and I wanted to say the same thing that Hawaii said. Thanks for opening this up to all. We are excited to continue to be a part as we can.
Chanel, our thoughts are with you in Iowa. I don't know if you were in the area that was impacted by those severe derecho, but I hope you and family and colleagues are doing well.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, I've had 3 calls today of people that just got electricity back as of today. And so anyway, there's a lot of need. So thanks for those thoughts.
Sure. I know that Puerto Rico can really relate to this from all the trauma that they have had, but they've come out of it, and so will you. So
I know. Thank you.
Yes, we
that's
are.
what
Thank you.
all right, Kentucky.
Richard, this is Sally. Somebody else is on for Kentucky, but I'm going to go ahead and step out and say we don't have any questions right now. So thank you.
Thank you, Sally. How about Maine? Massachusetts?
No questions, but thank you, Richard.
All right, thank you. Mississippi? How about Montana? Here's Nebraska, so they get an extra chance since we got you on the wrong list. Nebraska. New Mexico?
Hi, Richard. This is New Mexico. We don't have any questions, but we echo the thought about being grateful for the opening up the TA to all. We're excited.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Leah. North Dakota. Ohio?
This is Hannah from Ohio. We don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Oklahoma?
Hi, Richard. Deborah Anderson from Oklahoma. No questions, echoing also the appreciation for being included. We are continuing to move forward on our strategic plan, and we think this will be very helpful. So appreciate it.
Sounds great. Thank you. Pennsylvania? How about Texas?
Yeah, as others have said, thank you so much for including us in this opportunity and giving us access to the support as we finish out the rest of our no-cost extension and the continued work of our strategic plan.
All right, thanks a lot. U.S. Virgin Islands.
Hi, Richard. Hi, everyone. No questions really, but again, really, like everyone has said, we certainly appreciate the opportunity to take advantage of some of the TA that will be available as we too work to close out our no-cost extension and complete our deliverables.
Okay. Hey, thank you, Noreen. Utah? And how about Vermont?
Hi, this is Eli Hoggett from Vermont. And I'm wondering if my state is looking to evaluate supports for children with specialized needs in early learning and childcare settings. I'm wondering if it's possible to get data from other states, to network with other states, and whether TA could act as a conduit to access that type of information about how other states have provided successful supports in this arena.
I will let someone, the answer is yes, but I'll let someone else talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, the answer is yes. And I don't know if Kathy Hebler is still on the line, but that might be a good question for Kathy because she does a lot of collaboration with the groups who do that kind of work.
Yeah, Elizabeth, let's follow up with you on how to do that because I think we have some ideas for how to help you. So, absolutely.
That would be awesome and so helpful. Thank you so much.
Super. So I think that we went through the entire group of questions. I want to talk a little bit about Friday's call because that's coming up in 2 days. But before I do, I just want to give one last chance for anybody else who may have a question who either missed the opportunity or thought of the question after their state was called. Any last questions from folks? Okay, so let me just say, after this, a little bit later, after this call, Faith and I are going to be getting together to plan out this Friday's session. And one of the things that we will be sending you any additional information if not by the end of the day, tomorrow morning. Since this conversation is going to be on COVID implications and flexibilities, I'm actually working on some documents now that I want to send out to you in advance. There's nothing that you necessarily need to do prior to the meeting, but what the purpose is to really go over again some of the limitations and areas of flexibility as it relates to COVID-19's implications for you, things that you've learned since the last time we spoke or the original communication was sent out, some additional areas of flexibility that we would suggest to you to consider if this is a need within your state, and then give you the opportunity to talk with one another about what you might be doing or thinking of doing or wondering if you could do, and then also offering a chance for specific questions to be answered. So it's a chance for a broader conversation and for a chance for you to hear from your colleagues about some of the things that you may, either ways you're continuing to work on your scope of work as it exists, or areas where you're looking to possibly, you're considering, but you're not sure if you could be changing your scope to reflect a new direction because of an immediate need that's come about because of the pandemic. So that's the purpose of the call. You will get some documents in advance. And when you get on the call, you'll be able to talk and share with a group of your colleagues and hear from one another. Faith, do you want to add anything to that? And if anyone else on the call has a clarifying question or comment or suggestion, we welcome that as well.
I don't have anything else to add. Really looking forward to hearing everyone chat.
Yeah, and to that end, if you're planning to join on Friday, the thing to note, if you're, because of the national pandemic, you may be familiar with Zoom and how this works, but it will help if you sign in with your email because we will be doing breakouts. So if you can join that way, that will help. If not, we will get you into the right groups, but just know that this is going to be a lot more interactive and we're going to be doing a lot of kind of group work and thinking time to really network. So we're looking forward to hosting that, but we're going to try to use the technology in a new way.
And this is, this is kind of a trial and error process. Although SRI has used this approach before, it's the first time we're using it. So we'll be calling on you to tell us how it went, what we could do differently the next time, what worked, what didn't work, etc. And then we'll be continuing to do that throughout our process. So if there are no other questions, I don't know, Missy, is there anything else in the chat that we maybe should respond to, or anything else you want to say in closing comments?
Yeah, so there are a couple questions that have come in. So one is, will the TA specialists meet with the state teams individually? Yes. So today, as the team has mentioned, you will be receiving the first very, very short, we know you all are very busy right now, but with the self-assessment for your TA needs, I think it's like 3 questions. It should take about 5 minutes. That will help inform your TA specialist where they get started. They are planning to meet with your FPOs and you separate times over the next about week or 2. And those TA plans are going to move quickly. So do be thinking about what needs you have. There is nothing to stop you from reaching out sooner though. And we'll share some information in just a second. So those who have TA specialists on board can begin to do that. And they will be reaching out to schedule some time with you, and you can decide who from your team needs to be part of that initial call, and you can think about how you want this to look moving forward. But to the questions, we are receiving a couple of those. So yes, they will be reaching out and getting started after this call. We wanted to wait till after this call. So
to add to that, yeah, I want to add to that, and that is that the TA specialists will also be talking with the federal project offices. So to the extent that they can add additional information, insight, clarification of what has transpired before, that will obviously be helpful to them as well. And one of the things we will be leaving up to you is when your federal project officers set up their monthly or quarterly meetings with you, we will leave it up to you whether you would like the TA specialist to join those calls or not. And if you do, they will be invited and they will make every effort to attend as long as the schedule allows. That'll be one more thing for you to consider.
And we will make sure that, again, in package of materials, you're going to get a couple things from us this week. This afternoon, you'll get the slides and some additional context about the survey. We will also then be following up this week with materials for Friday's call. As Faith mentioned, the agenda, and you'll get the map that actually outlines what OCC region you are in, and therefore who's your TA specialist, so that you can understand a little bit more about that as well. So do know that information will be coming. As we kind of move to the next slide, Kathy, I don't know if there's anything else that you'd like to add as the other Senate Director.
I just want to introduce myself briefly. Hi, I am Kathy Hebler, and as Missy mentioned, I'm the co-director with her of the center, and just thrilled to be working with all of you and look forward to many more conversations.
All right, so before we get to the slide where you have some contact information for your TA specialist, we would just like to do one more poll question. It helps us to better provide more information, or to provide better information for you to ask how we did. So do please share your thoughts. You can select multiple that apply. If you have thoughts or recommendations for us on future webinars, please feel free to also put those in the chat. Looks like folks are still voting, so we'll give it another minute here. All right, so we looks like we're good to go. So easy enough to understand, so that's good. We'll try to improve on that as well. Well organized, well paced. So we've got some data. We can do better. So we'll also work on that. So we'll take this into consideration as we continue to plan future events. We appreciate everybody joining on short notice. We're eager and excited to get moving. So we appreciate that. You guys have been with us through this whole call. There are folks who will be reaching out to you. Howard, Faith, and Mandy will be ready as of Monday to kind of get going. You'll hear from Howard and Faith maybe earlier than that. But if you have TA needs that are immediate, I think we put in the email last week, do reach out to Sam Payton, who's gathering that information and getting it to the right specialist. So these slides will be shared. Here is the information, and we are really excited to be here to support you. Do feel free to reach out, and we're ready to begin.
One last statement, if I might. Tammy Proctor from Department of Ed, who co-administers with me on this project, co-leads the project. I know she had planned to be on this call to give greetings, but she had been traveling with her daughter back to college. And so I'm not quite sure she's made it back here yet. And so greetings from her, and you'll hear from her the next time around as well. So just letting you know. And of course, all the federal project officers have been on the call listening to the conversation, but we didn't give them time to talk today. So they'll get a time to talk to you another time. Thank you all for being on this call. And we look forward to continuing the work. Exciting time. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay sane, and have some fun. Take care, everybody. Talk to you soon.